Gang. What's popping with everybody out there? Top of the morning, great morning, grand morning. You feel me? If you're alive and well, you already know it's a grand morning, one of the greatest. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Today is another video, man, that I got. Amy Eskridge one, man. Right, and it's so crazy because I mentioned this already. I talked about it. I gave y'all little droplets of it about these, disclosures, the UFOs, the people behind it. And a lot has taken place since then. A lot of people went missing. It's wild, right? But to put matters in perspective, we're gonna dive into this story. And shout out to Traplo Ross because he doing it. You know what I'm saying? He excellent.
Okay, so look. Apparently, the father has reached out, basically put out, saying rejecting the suspicions about her death. But then there's more and more stuff coming out from friends and colleagues saying that no, she absolutely would not have done this to herself. So I'm going to play you a few clips. I'm going to show you some stuff about her, and it's gonna chill your blood.
Well, there is now an 11th scientist with connections to top secret government secrets who has died or gone missing within the last 4 years under mysterious conditions. And conspiracy theories are ballooning online. President Trump even addressing the ongoing mystery yesterday, confirming the U.S. government is looking into it.
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left the meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next
Trump, he bogus was saying that he talking about he don't know, some coincidence or some shit like that. You bogus is good. You know damn well it ain't no coincidence. Y'all know what's going on. I hate people acting like that, like it's a coincidence or some type of dumbass. Like everybody gonna jack and everybody gonna lie, right? So you know what I'm saying? Once a motherfucker get past that part, you will understand that it ain't no motherfucking such thing as no coincidence. Ain't no motherfucking such thing as no mishap. You understand what I'm saying? Trump know that though. Y'all heard how, like, you know what I'm saying? Lightly he said it. It was a real light statement.
National correspondent Nancy Liu is live in Los Angeles. So Nancy, what do we know about this possible 11th case?
Well, Nicole, just before her death in 2022, Amy Eskridge had announced plans to present her groundbreaking work with anti-gravity technology. The 34-year-old had been openly experimenting in the field and founded a research company called the Institute for Exotic Science to establish a more public space for developments in anti-gravity work. Her death from a supposed self-inflicted gunshot wound has long been questioned since she had expressed that her life was in danger at the time. Eskridge worked closely with...
Now, I didn't even know that, gang. A self-inflicted gunshot wound. That's some scary shit. She was mentioning that. She was mentioning that, like, yo, my life was, on a hunt. She was mentioning that. She was mentioning that they was hitting her with energy weapons. She was saying all types of shit, trying to alert everybody out there, like, hey, yo, check this out. They're trying to kill me. They gonna kill me. I plan on releasing this. They said if I do, blah, blah, whoopty. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was on there with her. I think she was, she was scared. She was, indeed. Her father, Richard Eskridge, I want to know if he knew about it or did. A lot of people say he greenlit it. You know what I'm saying? If he greenlit it, that's scary. Your dad greenlit you to get smoked. You know what I'm saying? That's scary. But
with her father. According to NASA, Richard Eskridge is a retired engineer whose many projects included novel work on a system to propel a spacecraft with high-speed plasmoids. Well, I spoke with him briefly today, and he dismissed any link between the death of his daughter to the 10 other scientists who've mysteriously died or gone missing over the past few years. All had links to government secrets and programs tied to military defense and UFOs. Richard Eskridge, he did not want to be interviewed, but he told me on the phone scientists die also, just like other people. Nicole?
All right, so Nancy, there are already questions before this newest one. We even have lawmakers weighing in. I mean, what more can you tell us about maybe what happens next?
Yeah, well, the mystery surrounding these scientists, it's definitely taken on a life of its own on the web, where all kinds of conspiracy theories abound. There's even talk of a murder conspiracy targeting people who supposedly know too much. 2 of the scientists' deaths are cases of murder, and a number of disappearances are people who were considered suicidal. In the case of
and that's crazy because, like, damn, all these scientists then just got murdered. That don't make sense to me. I know it don't to y'all. You feel me? Some of you dumb motherfuckers out there, you try to make it make sense, but it don't. It don't make no sense, my nigga. You got these top class people who's working for the government with top class information. You know, they got governmental information, knowledge that no one can obtain outside of that program, outside of that governmental group that they're in. And at the end of the day, they just up and missing. Like, make this. Nobody can make it make sense, like I said, because there's too much money involved, there's too much knowledge involved, it's too much governmental official knowledge and paperwork and clearancy and disclosures that's involved, you know, and also it's something that the public's been waiting for, the Pentagon is waiting for, the Congress, they want to know what's going on with it, and these people are just missing. Like, I think it's something more than, you know, that just going on with this story. Hopefully Trap Lord Ross can get to the bottom of it, because like I said, he is excellent with his work, what he do with his research. I ain't really never heard nobody touch this type of work. They be scared when it comes to this type of work, when it comes to UFOs, UAPs, and disclosures. People get scared because they already know, hey, yo, look, you get to saying too much or doing too much, a motherfucker will take your ass off the map. Amy Eskridge, this is what she was talking about. This is what she was scared of. She was in fear of getting her life took. She was in fear of something happening to her. She mentioned many times that people was following her, mentioned many times that people was watching her and spying on her, and you know what I'm saying, sending her threatening text messages and things like that. So it's not far-fetched. You know what I'm saying? It's not non-believable. Everything they said is believable, but this the thing, the government covered things up so well, right? They try to cover things up so well. And when they do that, it usually leaves the door opening for somebody to pry it open and figure out more information and find out things that we once didn't know, right? To me, I feel like this is a story that's going to get cracked down slowly but surely. But if the people who start busting this story down and breaking it open for us to, you know, figure out more information, they might end up murdered, you know, if they don't be careful. They could end up killed. They can end up dead, you know. It's a possibility. But if they're willing to risk their life to get the solution to these stories or get the ending result to these stories, then yeah, I think that'd be worth it, you know. No, I'm serious. I think that'd be worth it. Yeah. Yeah, that's more better. That's more better. You guys laughed, and I don't think that was right. But I think it would be worth it. Not like the war. The war ain't worth it. You know what I'm saying? The war really ain't worth it. I don't know why we warring it. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's something we can all laugh at. And, you know, laugh as life goes on. But with killing innocent people who's trying to show the world things we can do and how far we can take, you know, our skills and talents, I think that's by far crossing the line. You ask me, and I think something got to be done about that. Simple.
Monica Reza, the experienced hiker, went missing during a hike last year here in Southern California. She had worked with General William McCaslin, a so-called UFO gatekeeper, who also went missing just 2 months ago. Now, we just got a statement from Republican Congressman Eric Burleson, who's among those pushing for answers. He tells News Nation, these are some of the most advanced scientists and researchers in our nation working on critical national security efforts, and several have mysteriously disappeared. This is too coincidental, and we have to be investigating this.
Crazy, all right? So it's finally being talked about. You heard about it on this channel first. We've been talking about this for a few weeks now, probably a few months now. But Trump's finally talked about it. He said, I hope that it's not. I hope that it's not. Now, look, a lot of people are speculating that this could actually be the Chinese. It could be a hostile government basically looking to get people at the highest levels of defense technology either taken out or captured so that they can get all of the facts that they were working on top-level secure information that should not be falling in the hands.
I truly don't believe it's the Chinese people. You know, she even had a friend that spoke about it because, and he was a Army veteran, a British Army guy, you know, and he spoke on it, and he said Amy has told him multiple times that people was trying to kill her, you know, that they went through her house and searched through her panty drawers, they searching through her drawers, leaving hints, leaving, you know what I'm saying, little tips that, hey, yo, we on to you, we watching you, and don't nobody know, you know, can't nobody do nothing. So, you know, to me, I think if Amy, or I think if somebody would have took the story more serious for Amy, like did more background research, did more investigative research, I think that would have, you know what I'm saying, been cool. And the case would have probably got a little more light on it. You know what I'm talking about? People nowadays, they so fucking lazy. People lazy as fuck. They don't want to put their research into it. They don't want to help nobody. I think a lot of these motherfuckers got evil intentions. So, you know, that's just basically the base of it.
Of a hostile foreign nation. But there's a lot of disturbing features about this particular story. Investigative journalist Ross Coulthard basically detailed several strange and disturbing events that occurred in Amy Eskridge's life shortly before her mysterious death.
But to me, the most critical thing that's happening in
yeah, it has been a lot that occurred again. Let me get this full.
I actually spoke to Amy Eskridge. I don't think she killed herself.
This the dude now. News, him right here, Ross. He good, man. Shout out to Ross, man. Ross, he do his background research, man. He do a lot of background research. For real. You know, shout out to Ross. Because I don't think there's no other people who really care about the story because they scared. You know what I'm saying? I said that already. They scared. They scared to come out with what took place. I hate a scary motherfucker that, you know, like, if you're scared to answer the question and you're scared to tell how this lady died, then sit your dick down. You shouldn't be around talking. You shouldn't be speaking. You shouldn't even be allowed to speak. But anybody who got the information and they coming out with it, they end up getting killed. You feel me? Much love to them and their families because, you know, they deserve it. Them the real heroes right there. Them the real heroes. Everybody else, they cowards though. You know, and I think he one of the heroes he speak on it. He told John, he don't think she killed herself. Hell no, she didn't. She got messages stating that, look, if I die, I didn't kill myself. Yeah. Ain't no need for it. She said, if I die, I didn't kill myself. If they say I OD'd, I didn't kill myself. You feel me? They say, when I don't go, I did not kill myself. They say I went crazy. I did not kill myself. You feel me? Like, she constantly said this. I feel like a lot of people, like whistleblowers, they come out and they speak this. They say things like this. They tell you like, hey, yo, look, I'm innocent. Ain't nobody, you know, I don't know what's to it. Motherfucker will try to fake you out like that. And a lot of times that's what's taking place right now in the world. They're faking each other out, right? So she telling motherfuckers like, hey, yo, look, a motherfucker trying to fake me out, trying to get rid of me. And that's what they tried to do. And until they did, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? Like, but she had a lot of knowledge to be dropped. She had a lot of knowledge to be dropped, a lot of knowledge to be passed down. I mean, man, it's just crazy though. And now the story is hitting, you feel me? The big TV, now the story is hitting worldwide. Now we got the country, so.
I do think there's a very high likelihood she was murdered. I've got a very good friend who was a very, very good friend of hers who was being sent emails by her in the months prior to her death where she genuinely feared that somebody was trying to hurt her or kill her. And I've got photographs, harrowing photographs of burns that she allegedly suffered from some kind of directed energy weapon that she believes was directed at her from the street through the window of the office that she was working in. And they are harrowing images showing burns on her hands where literally there's a red mark that starts just from her hands, and it's as if her hands across a keyboard were being irradiated with something. I do think that the instance of the Amy Eskridge case is quite extraordinary. There's a whole lot of unexplained stuff. The difficulty is that her body was apparently cremated shortly after her death. Her family, and I have no wish to cause her family any hurt, her family do, I understand, believe that she committed suicide. I don't want to speak for the family or purport to speak for the family because it's always a tragedy when anyone loses a loved one. The terrible thing is there was no full coronial inquiry. I did make inquiries with local police about why there wasn't going to be a full coronial inquiry, and it was because of the finding of suicide. I feel very sad about the Amy Eskridge death. She was a brilliant woman. She was, at times, unstable. She was a big drinker, but I don't think
but I can tell why she was unstable, because what they was doing to her secretly on the side, you feel me? Yeah, they was secretly spying on her and, fucking her up with them EMP weapons, shit like that, or them energy weapons. So, of course, she gonna try to, the bitch probably getting high as hell, whatever the case may be, but, her murder is mysterious. You know what I'm saying? That still stands. Like, there's nothing you can say about that. It's still mysterious, and it still need to be investigated now. For her to be cremated right away behind her death, that was even wild. They rushed to get her cremated, and almost as if they didn't want another autopsy done. They didn't want a special autopsy done. And that's wild, because that seemed like they were trying to cover something up also. Right there. But you got to believe they're going to get to the bottom of what's taking place with all these scientists. And I do believe so. I think it's just the beginning. It's just starting to spark. We got to give it some time. Over the trailing time of the last couple months, last year, and 3 months, these mysterious deaths and missing people has been popping up all over. But I think we're going to go farther down this rabbit hole.
Herself. I truly don't think she killed herself. I'm sorry if that upsets the family, but I think she was a wonderful human being. She was making claims that she was making advances in anti-gravitic technology and propulsion systems. And of course, her father is, I'm not sure if he still is, a senior NASA engineer. It's a great tragedy that she was lost. She was a beautiful, brilliant young woman. And yes, she's one of multiple scientists I have spoken to or am speaking to who purport to be working on alternative propulsion systems.
So it's crazy, right? He doesn't believe that she did this to herself either. Okay, no disrespect to the family, but that's what he thinks. Okay, it is very, very spooky, all right? It is very, very spooky. So just 1 month before her passing, if you remember in that interview that I just showed you, he was talking about she had burns and she believed she was affected by a radiation device that was outside of her property. It sounds crazy. But just 1 month before she passed away, just a month before she allegedly took herself out, she sent a series of alarming text messages to close friends and colleagues expressing her growing fears about surveillance, her personal safety, and these attacks on her health. Okay, I've got them for you here. So here's all the messages.
You know what's funny, though? They all knew this, though, already, gang. And that's the crazy part about it. I feel like they all knew this already. The most game, the craziest game to play with a person is to act like you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I think they definitely knew who killed this lady while she was killed. They knew about it. And they probably was even already aware and was warned about it. Like, hey, y'all, look, we finna do this. Y'all got to move around, you feel me? Or, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be hit when it happens. It's like the story how they all tried to play it. Everybody had a role. Now they all got a role. So since they all got a role, they all trying to play their role now. She died. Everybody like, I don't know nothing. I don't know what happened. That was your role to play game from the jump.
Messages and pictures of her injuries. I'm going to go through all of it for you guys because this is so chilling, and there's more coming later. You're not going to believe it, all right? So on May the 3rd, Amy Eskridge sent the following message at 5:04 a.m. The boots on the ground guerrilla tactics are absolutely insane for any high-value target that shows their face in public in Huntsville right now. I really don't think I've ever seen it this bad before. That's really saying something. I'd heard there were new units, outside units deployed in town since just before the conflict started. Oh my God, I believe it. I can see it. The active warfare It's currently in Europe, but I've seen it shockwave into the local coffee shops and bars. Like, it's just ridiculous to show up in public anymore if you're on a certain type of target list. Like, just freaking stay home. I've never seen anything like it. May the 10th, she said, have always insisted there isn't much difference in our intelligence. The primary difference is the chosen field of expertise. She said, I could take some wild guesses that at the non-Ivan countries, so she's saying non-Russian affiliated countries. Obviously, this is all about the conflict with the Russians, and maybe it's the Russians. This is peak Ukraine war kind of times when this was going on, I believe 2022. She might be suggesting that the Russians or the Chinese, but when she says non-Ivan countries, she's talking about those countries in the Russian sphere of influence. She says, I could take some wild guesses at the non-Ivan countries that have been leaning in pretty hard. I probably wouldn't be too far off base. The Russians are smart enough to not try and befriend me directly. They are more of the silently tailing on the ground types. There are plenty of others that would try and befriend you directly. So she's saying other hostile governments that aren't Russia will be trying to befriend her, socially engineer her so that they can get close to her, get her secrets, or get her out of the way.
Damn.
She said, that's the main thing I've seen recently. The social engineering attempts in public are through the damn roof at the moment. It's always been kind of like that around here, but it's never been quite this bad. It's almost absurd. A group of anywhere between 2 to 6 people will walk into a location, usually 30 minutes after I sit down, and the whole group will take turns one at a time, rotating through the empty seat next to me, repeatedly asking me the same questions over and over again. I deflect one, then the next one sits down. They even all use the same opening line between them all, as if they all read the same briefing material. I mean, really, holy shit. So she's saying that foreign agents are being sent, and this is a town where a whole bunch of people work on the military bases and the, secret research facilities related to space engineering. And they're sending foreign agents in to try and befriend.
And that's deep, man. Sending foreign agents in to try to, you feel me, get you out the information they need. And they playing music control sitting down next to you, like, we need your information, we need this, that, and the other, or we're gonna do this to you. She even said they was like Israeli and so on. To know that much, that's real deep. But I'm trying to understand, like, was they trying to force her not to publish the paperwork, or was they trying to force her to keep the paperwork tucked? Was it, because a lot of people saying they didn't want her to publish that. And what she was doing was going against what everybody wanted. You know what I'm saying? It was some big aerospace companies who actually did not want her to publish that paper. Why, I don't know. To me, I think maybe they wanted to utilize it for themselves. It could be. Maybe they wanted to take and weaponize it, utilize it as a weapon, weaponize it for what they wanted to use it for. You know what I'm saying? The same way they're trying to do the AI, but at the end of the day, I think she wanted to publish it anyway because she like, yo, they gonna kill me anyway. She said she done witnessed a few other people die this way, and she didn't, just want to die not publishing it. She didn't want to get pushed into fear and stop everything she was doing, because the main thing for them was to try to get her paranoid. Once they got her paranoid, she was gonna redact everything she wanted to publish. So they was trying.
Random using social engineering. She says, it used to be noticeable but much more subtle. They've been pulling out this much more aggressive good cop, bad cop strategy lately. God, it's annoying. One of them aggressively trolls and insults me for no particular reason. Then his buddy grabs my hand to apologize for his asshole friend and then asks me if I'd like to go somewhere else to talk about it. Fuck no, I'm not walking out the parking lot with any of you right now. Stop asking me. You can all just F right off. What the hell's going on here? I'd say the profiling has been much more detailed as well lately. They've been taking on character avatars, which they think I'm likely to trust, like sitting down next to me and claiming to be DIA, as if any DIA personnel would just casually introduce themselves like that in public. Please, damn, it's so aggressive and annoying. The Huntsville social scene has always been kind of like that to some extent, but it's totally unreal at the moment. Then she says the Israelis, though, holy shit, I personally think they've been playing both sides between the US and Russia. I recently went to the dentist for my routine cleaning and exam. The hygienist pulled up my dental insurance information to see how often I had dental x-rays covered. She asked how I liked my job at some company that I'd never heard of. I was like, what? And she showed me the information on the computer screen. My dental insurance company had my employer listed as an Israeli technology company at the Mamat Technology Center in Haifa, Israel. What the fuck? I do not see how that information could be entered into my records by some type of routine accidental typo. Seems like someone in Israel has been recently requesting my dental records and they faked an employer address for me in Israel to do it. Jesus, that's just absurd. I can only think of a handful of reasons for foreign nation state to social engineer their way into obtaining my dental records, and none of them are good. That's so scary. She said, this happened with my dentist thinking that I was employed at some technology center in Hafia, Israel. I left and immediately texted a friend about it. I was like, I have become pretty desensitized to a wide variety of fucking absurd espionage bullshit. However, my dentist having records of me being employed in Israel is a little too absurd, even by my standards. I've got to admit, I've seen a whole lot of crazy nation state shit, but I definitely did not see that one coming. This was like 3-4 weeks ago, and I have no clue how long ago that information was added to my records, though. And she said that my dental records having my employer listed as some random company in Israel did at least trigger me to rewind and think more in depth about other times that spooky fucks have seemingly had access to my detailed diagnostics or other medical records. And I guess I had sort of underestimated how many other examples there were of this, because it's all been sort of a weird blur of pretty extreme crazy shit over the past few years.
So over the past few years, she just stated, you know, she had a lot of problems, and a lot of this shit been, you know, blurred. A lot of this shit been mixed up for her. They do it on purpose. They try to confuse a motherfucker. And they good at that. That's their job. That's their task, right? They good at that. Let's go. When they confuse you, or they have everybody around you thinking you going crazy, that's usually what they gonna do. The CIA or anybody who on a special mission against you and they got information they want from you, yeah, they gonna make everybody think you going crazy. The shit you saying is obsolete, obscure. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna do their best. You know, they're gonna try their best, try their hardest. And we see this. You know, we see this with some of the biggest, some of the top, you know, flight scientists and top flight physicians and things of that nature. And they got so much knowledge, you know. You feel me? So you can't do nothing but make people look crazy, like they have some type of mental problem and shit like that. I hate when motherfuckers do that. You know, like, look, these motherfuckers, man, ain't no motherfucking mental problem. They don't got nothing wrong with their motherfucking head. Ain't nothing wrong with their brain. If they that smart, they can create a motherfucking particle impulsion gun. And you got to believe they ultra smart, my nigga. They probably even smarter than you, but for y'all to try to make it seem like they crazy or psycho, that's where you lose people at, right? Because ain't no motherfucking scientist like herself, 34 years old, you know, just finna go psycho all of a sudden, my nigga. She got good money, she paid, she got millions, she living, she doing what she loves, science. You mean to tell me they just upped and went crazy? No. You know, it's a motherfucker who drove them crazy. They probably doing what they doing to her, you know, top flight threats, you know, all the above. Now it's like she ended up dead and people like, oh, wow. You know, well, if y'all would have paid a little more attention when she was saying it, because she was saying it, she kept saying it. She kept putting it out there. Hey, yo, look, people trying to kill me. I don't know if she told her dad, and I don't know what her pops did, but at that point, it seemed like her pops probably already had his hands nailed to the floor. You know what I'm saying? He probably couldn't do nothing either because he probably was under the gun also. So that's scary.
In retrospect, it's happened a few times now, connected to Israel in the past as well. Like I met some guy for the first time and he totally intel bombed the fuck out of me. I don't know, some guy twice my age who told me that a bunch of people have been watching me for a very long time and that he'd been personally aware of my surveillance data for many years. He quoted me a bunch of obscure shit from my life just to prove it, even including obscure facts from my childhood. He quoted my dad's entire NASA resume to my face and even included my dad's unpublished work over several decades. He basically intel bombed the fuck out of me just to get my attention and then issued me a 6-month ultimatum that I had better publish our shit within that time span or his group would engage Plan B and would publish all of our surveilled work out from under us under a different name and would patent it all to take all the intellectual property rights from us. He then described to me how our prototypes worked in great detail just to prove that he actually had the surveillance. Then he ended it by telling me that I had something between my L3 and L4 vertebrae and I needed to have it checked out. I didn't know whether to believe him or not, other than, of course, he was correct about the intel he quoted me. The only thing I wasn't sure about was whether he was right about something between my L3 and L4. But I did request my old MRI records shortly after that encounter, and there actually was something between my L3 and L4. It was in the original radiology notes that you can get by requesting the records. My doctor had actually never mentioned it to me, but he was right. It was there, exactly where he said it would be. He was an Israeli. When I background checked him, he had multiple vice president positions at multiple shell companies owned by George Soros. And all of those companies shared the same street address as the office for the Soros Fund Management Office in New York, even down to the same suite number. And this fucking Israeli Soros guy did in fact know things from my radiology records that had never been mentioned to me. Just like my dental x-rays have apparently been pretty recently requested by some company address listed in my records as my employer in Israel. Holy fuck. I don't know what to make of any of that, other than it all seems pretty absurd. Like, I actually try and live a pretty normal life as much as I can. I really don't go into my routine dental appointments expecting to find that I have an Israeli employer documented in my records. It's just absurd. Of course, that 6-month ultimatum he gave me, paired with that absolutely massive intel bomb that he dropped on me to prove it was in fact what eventually led to our work being published as a NASA technical memorandum last year. We wrote and published that paper directly, basically as a result of this guy quoting to my face a bunch of obscure shit about my life, including my accurate notes from my spinal MRIs, and telling me that we could publish it within 6 months or lose it. That was actually how that paper got published.
Now that's crazy. How the hell he get that information and what would make him recite that to him? You know what I'm saying? Why would that be a threat? Why would he use that as a threat? Because shit, he deep. He in the Israeli spy group. That's why he used it as a threat. He used something that he knew damn well she knew nobody else knew. She didn't even know nothing about her L3 and L4 vertebrae. You know what I'm saying? So you want to tell me you got these people that spying on you this code to where they can go in there and get your shit and they come to you, look, bam, you better go check this out too because we got this on you. We already know about that information here. You need to go to your health doctor and get this fixed up. Like, dude, that was scary. He ran down a whole fucking diplomatic life story play for her about her life, her dad's life, and everybody's life. You know, things that she didn't even know. That's the wildest part. To me, I feel like they've been on to her and they like, yo, we're gonna taunt her until she don't, you know what I'm saying? Publish the paper. Until she don't put the paperwork out, or until she gets scared and fearful and say, hey, yo, you know what? I'm gonna cancel publishing this.
Why are there now multiple data points for Israel being all up in my medical records, even down to my dentist? What the fuck? I just don't know anymore, and I kind of hate it. She says the public approach is though, oh my God, it's just totally crazy shit. Like, I swear to God, I should maybe just retire from science altogether and start writing spy thriller novels about my real experiences. He said, oh, by the way, if you see any report that I offed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I OD'd myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I killed anyone else, I most definitely did not. Just like Bishop most definitely did not kill Maria and Gopi and Adriel, just like McGlandis sure as F didn't blow his own head off with a shotgun. The dominoes are being lined up all over now. Again, oh my God, that's crazy. So now there's more messages from May the 17th. She said, it's like, God, I mean, I've recently heard confirmation that there were new GRU units that have been running around town since shortly before that Ukraine thing and causing mayhem. But I really didn't need any confirmation of that because they had already burnt the shit out of my skin with second-degree burns and freaking melted the window blinds to do it in early February, which I have many pictures of. I pretty much always see this type of shit well before anyone else mentions it. I could have told anyone, but there were obviously new units in town if anyone had asked me.
So there, see, she talked about how they burned her hands and her blinds. You feel me? They said, and she gave you a time too. She said in early February, gang. You feel me? So that tells you what they was already watching and spoken, but they were making sure they put fear in. You know, they made sure. And to me, I think that's by far a truth telling right there. Like, my nigga, that says all you need to know. She ain't have to say no more. That's tell us all we need to know, gang. Like, look, let's do it. Her dad already said scientists die too, like regular people. But he tried to, you know, make that into a statement like, okay, everybody died. Man, listen, that ain't what the fuck they asked you. They talking about your daughter. You feel me? They talking about your daughter. Like, how did she die? Did you green light it? Did you know about it?
Described their recent tactics in great detail well before anyone else knew, because I pretty much always get hit by the shittest first wave of everything. But this new thing they've been doing is the creepiest shit I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot when considering what I've seen. It's a shitload of anonymous messages offering advice on how to off myself at night while I'm in bed by myself, phrased as these crazy, creepy rhymes like, take your pills and OD, this will go away. Take your pills and OD, it will be okay. Like effing creepy nursery rhymes about how to do myself. God damn it, it's the creepiest shit ever. It progressed from creepy rhyming advice on how to do myself to obviously morphing into other crazy messages that were clearly trying to lure me out of the house at night. Like, I'm right out here, come out the front door and open it, walk past the pool, I'm in the barn, come out to the barn and find me. Creepy ass shit, creepiest shit ever. I've lived through some fucking crazy Mossad level psyops. I've had my detailed medical records quoted to my face. This new shit is the creepiest shit ever. Like, what would I fucking find if I was stupid enough to walk out to our barn in the middle of the night just because some anonymous asshole?
Yeah, she gonna find them. If they texting you that in the middle of the night, come out to the barn, walk out here, I'm out here like, who? You don't even know. Yeah, you getting killed. They're gonna murder you.
Or ask me to. F no, I'm not going out there. Stop asking. And asking me to come out to the barn, how the cameras are currently set up, you'd see footage of me walking out to the barn by myself, and you would not see anyone approaching the barn from the back. There would just be footage of me walking out there by myself on the cameras, and then maybe my parents would find me hanging from the rafters in the morning. Goddamn, I'm not going out there no matter how many times you could send me messages baiting me to. It's the creepiest shit I've ever experienced. It's totally surpassed all of the previous insane creepy shit I've ever seen. No, I'm not going to take all my pills and OD myself no matter how many creepy rhyming messages you send me asking me to, and I'm also not going to walk outside to the barn at night to come to you. Effing stop asking me to, god damn it. I don't know, maybe the groundwork is there to frame a self-deletion. Just ask McClandish, oh wait, you can't, he's dead, of a supposed self-deletion. He was emailing me shortly before he died. We had both independently come to a lot of the same conclusions. Then he was dead. I would love to know if he was being creepily taunted to off himself before then.
And see, she was doing a lot of her stuff in email. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of her stuff had to go through email. You know what I'm saying? She was emailing another scientist just right before he got killed. And they were sort of saying the same shit, same similar things. Like, hey, yo, that's happening to me too. Over here, it's taking place over here too. You know, it was a lot of people that probably was speaking out about this. It was a lot of people that probably was warning people or telling people like, hey, yo, they bothering. You know what I'm saying? They fucking with me. They're trying to stop me. But I don't think nobody was really paying attention to them, or the people they was telling was part of what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
Because it seems familiar. Same. They try to get them to do themselves first and then only murder them if they don't. That is so scary. And then she goes on. She says, I don't know. It was creepy enough for me to tell several other people, like, hey, if anyone reports that I did myself in, I effing did not. Some of them were like, yeah, I know they did that to me too. Yeah, someone is actually trying to taunt you into doing it to yourself. It's real. Just don't do it, with pretty nuanced advice on how to navigate it. That's absurd. It's effing disturbing that I can report this current thing to my inner circle of scientists in the US. And some of them are like, yeah, that happened to me. They're going to ask you to off yourself and taunt you for a while about it. Just don't do it. These guys are assholes. What the actual F? Who are these effing pricks? And how common is this exactly? What the hell? She goes on to say, after the past 3 days of this being relentless and almost constant, my current best guess is that some US-based contracting group has been hired to attempt to harass me to my death. My ex-CIA weapons guy on my team saw my hands when they were burned really badly a couple of months ago. He saw that window pane in person, and he said he had built things like that and that it was most likely an RF K-band emitter run by a 5-car battery strung together from inside an SUV. When I asked who would do something like that, and his honest answer was, I hate to tell you this, but it's most likely domestic, most likely a contractor who sees your IP as capable of eating their lunch. That seems like the worst case scenario to me. And then there's images of her burned hands at the keyboard, as we heard Ross Coulthard talking about. She's got these like radiation burns all up her hands. She said there's probably a pretty short list of US contractors who would do something this dirty. It gave me Havana syndrome ahead of time just to make me think and tell people that it was Russia maybe even. Now, if you follow this channel closely, I've done a few videos on the Havana syndrome. There's apparently this secret weapon used by the Russians. I think the Chinese have also used it. They used it a lot in Cuba, and they basically put these machines outside of buildings where they know American state workers are, and it basically gives them a sickness from outside the building. It transmits these radio waves that fucks up their brains. It's really, really bad. This is a real thing, okay? And they've tried to sweep that under the rug too. And she knows all about it, Havana syndrome. So she goes on to say, even just this evening, I received a message saying they were looking right at my best friend and that she was right in front of them. A little over an hour later, I received a text from her. She had just gone to dinner with a friend and made a point of making sure her car was locked because she was unaware of this stuff going on. She came back to her car to find it unlocked. Well, fuck. Said, like, don't mention it to anyone, though, because I don't know who's doing it yet. It's the creepiest shit ever, but it could literally be anyone doing it. I don't know who it is. I'm not trying to report anything officially right now. I just want a web of people who are fully aware that I did not off myself, because there is some protection.
So, you know, she's just trying to make sure that everybody know, like, look, I ain't killed myself at all. Because she said it multiple times. She said it multiple times in Texas. But to understand, you know, the level of how deep it is, gang. And every time she says something to somebody, people try to look for evidence and they can't find it. That's multiple times scarier. You feel me? Because they're like, damn, what is you talking about? Or what is you going through? You know what I'm saying? Like, is she really telling the truth or not? Yeah, she is. They know now she is. Yeah, they definitely know now. If y'all didn't know then, yeah, y'all know now she's telling the truth. You feel me? Because now she's dead and everything she was saying is popped out. You know what I'm saying? The story's just being investigated now. She got her buddies and old friends that she once talked to, or people that knew her as colleagues or, old employee workers. They telling stories about her and things she once mentioned. You feel me? And it all relates to this. It all relates to this. It all goes back to this.
To be had by multiple people knowing full well that I didn't off myself. I'm not effing walking outside in the dark, even if they send me anonymous messages taunting me to. I'm currently in a mode where I'm not going to be at home alone. If my parents leave the house, I leave the house. I'm not going to be alone. And she said, I think I might know why this particular thing is happening right now, but I still can't quite be sure because I'm not quite sure of who is doing it. It's just super creepy. The creepiest shit ever for me, which is saying a lot. It's just the same old shit, but like a times 100. I think it's maybe happening because I entered my next proposal on white paper, writing phrase vert recently for various domestic agencies, and it's the best shit I've ever written. I think that's why now. Attempt to drive me crazy with endless shit and try and relentlessly talk me into offing myself or try and lure me outside before I send this newest shit to my colonel at DARPA or my program director at NASA. They can successfully taunt me into offing myself tomorrow. My most recent best work ever would die with me, and I think that is why. But I can tell any of these agencies that I'm currently being aggressively taunted into offing myself right now, though, nope, I can't. It would immediately disqualify me from obtaining any new security clearance in future the moment that it gets reported, which is maybe actually the whole point of the exercise. Oh, God. Taunt me into reporting something that gets me blacklisted from clearances. That might be the point that would achieve their goal. I don't want it to be reported. I just want the people closest to me to be able to vouch for this happening later if something were to happen. And then she's got more reports of this burns, and they look really severe there. So she says, goes on to say, I don't know, this is the 26th of May, I don't know, that's the most likely culprit according to both my ex-CIA guy and the retired general that I work with who ran counterterrorism for Stratcom. So they are coming from experience with these type of issues, they are familiar with the technical details of my work, and they personally know me. They both think that it's a private industrial source who has hired contractors to follow me around and harass me. And
now, first she said it was aerospace, or she said, I remember her mentioning in Lockheed Martin. You feel me? Yeah, Lockheed Martin, aerospace. And it was a friend of hers, the Britain Army General. And he said the same thing. He said this is what she told him, and he tried to do some extensive background research on it and, came up with a few theories and things like that. But this is who she mentioned before. In some of her videos, she talked about these guys being the one that could be possibly doing something to it.
Left a trail of breadcrumbs to make me think it's Russia. That's their assessment. It's really not good over here right now. She says, I explained the recent events to my ex-CIA weapons guy, whiteboard briefed him on my most recent work, and flipped him through my most recent technical notebook pages. He stared me down at one page for a long time, then looked back up at me and was like, well, this is definitely why. Makes perfect sense to me. Well worth the budget for the right entity. Then he told me not to let that notebook out of my sight because there's obviously a decent budget behind following me around to look for an opportunity to swipe it off the table. And I was like, yeah, no shit. I've only been screaming about this problem from the mountaintops and I've literally been begging for help for a good long while now. She said, it's pretty bad when the old spooks around you start getting pretty fucking spooked too. And then there's more images of the burns there and that's it. So these claims have been going crazy on X and on Reddit. Everybody's talking about it. Okay, all of these leaked messages. This is an r/conspiracy. I've just read you everything, so we don't need to go over that.
So you feel me? I ain't gonna feature all the whole Trap Lord Raw's video about it. If you want to see the rest, you better go look at it. I'm telling you, because you're gonna love everything he chopping it up about on this one because it gets deep and spooky. But I've been made a video about this about Amy Eskridge, probably like a month ago. And I talked about this. I mentioned the things she was talking about. I mentioned the private companies she was mentioning. And a lot of people was talking about it. And it only got so big because the general came up missing, on his hiking mission. And I believe, I don't know if they still searching for him. Shit, it's been like a month now. And I feel like with nobody, after a month, something's up. I don't know that. Nobody found the person. And then a few other people went missing the same way. So at the end of the day, I feel like somebody else knows what's going on. They don't want these people to disclose this information about these UFOs. They don't want these people to disclose none of this information to Congress, to the public. And it's wild. It's wild, the lengths they are willing to go to keep this shit covered up. But I ain't gonna last. I mean, I ain't gonna hold my breath, or I ain't gonna let my breath held last the search of these missing people, or me dropping these vids for y'all, gang. At the end of the day, y'all just make sure y'all keep dropping the fucking pill. You know, just stay looking out, paying attention to the news yourself, because a lot of things are gonna get unveiled. And at the end of the day, man, keep your head up, man. Stay productive. Stay doing what you got to do. You feel me? To keep you on the strive, on the go, on the journey towards your next best goal, gang. I love y'all. I am out.